Here at John Elway Harley-Davidson in Greeley, Colorado, it is demo day. On this day, you can come and ride any bike you like. Well, almost any bike. You need permission from Mr. Elway himself if you want to ride his personal 1998 handmade Titan Gecko SX Custom. Did you know John Elway was a rider? Anyway, today we are focusing on two Harley-Davidson touring bikes and asking which one? A street glide or a road glide? There are strong opinions in both camps, so let's look at the differences and see which one is the better bike, if any. Do you know which one you want? From the handlebars back, both bikes are mostly the same. I say mostly because for today's ride we are looking at a 2020 Street Glide Special and a brand new 2022 Road Glide. Both just happen to feature the Milwaukee 8 114 cubic inch V-twin engine, so both should have 100 horsepower and 118 foot-pounds of torque. The gas tank and the seats are the same. This 2020 Street Glide in vivid black has color-matched lowers for your legs though, but that's not a feature on all street glides. Obviously, the big difference is the fairings. The Street Glide has a Batwing fairing with one headlight mounted to the forks. The Road Glide has a shark nose fairing with two headlights mounted to the frame. These differences aren't incredibly sizable, as both fairings will block the wind, but the minor differences can add up, steering you, as it were, to a choice of one over the other. Let's take the Street Glide out for a ride. We'll be following Mary, the Riding Academy manager. Yes, John Elway Powersports has a riding academy too, so if you want to learn to ride, this is the place to sign up. The Batwing fairing, as it is unofficially called, was first sold in 1969 on the Harley-Davidson Electroglide, and many were bought as police bikes, which gave the Batwing an iconic recognition in the minds of motorists. The nostalgia of this fairing drives more people to buy it than the Road Glide, because the Batwing just screams, "This is a serious Harley-Davidson." The Road Glide fairing came out 10 years after the Batwing on the Harley Tour Glide, but they usually weren't used by police, so therefore didn't sink into the human psyche as deeply. More on that fairing later. The largest difference between the two fairings is that the Batwing is mounted on the forks, so it turns with the handlebars. Since the headlight, the stereo, and all instruments are mounted in the fairing, they all turn with you. The advantage being that the headlight illuminates your street turns at night. There are two minor downsides to the fairing though. One is the weight on the bars, if you consider that a downside. You may find it requires a little more force to turn the bars, but it isn't anything you won't adjust to. The bike wants to turn into corners a little easier once the bike is moving though, and that's a good thing. The other minor downside is anecdotal. Some riders have complained that high winds can affect your steering, especially in the airwash of a semi at interstate speeds. Honestly though, if the wind is so strong that it's giving you trouble steering, it would cause a problem on nearly any motorcycle in some manner. Now the main advantages to the Batwing fairing is that it is much closer to you than a Road Glide fairing. The instruments and GPS may be easier to read, and it is reported that it shields you from the rain and wind more than the Road Glide. The fairing also shields your hands from the wind more, being closer to you. The mirrors are more effective also, being at the very edge of the fairing. Now this may change if you replace the handlebars with another dimension, but Harley-Davidson has mirror remounting kits in the catalog for that contingency too. Now Now, because the Street Glide fairing is closer, you feel more in the bike than on it. Some people feel safer and more sheltered, but taller riders might feel a bit scrunched. I'll bet the feeling goes away with more miles ridden, though. You can hear the wind because a stock windshield is non-adjustable. It is, however, easily replaceable with a taller one. The Street Glide performs very well with the 114 cubic inch engine, and it just begs for more throttle when entering the highway. The stock pipes are not loud, but they do have a rich, deep pitch that just makes you want to give it more throttle. Now for the Road Glide. Let's take it out for a ride. The Road Glide started life in 1979 as the Tour Glide, as stated previously, and as the name suggests, the bike was meant for long journeys. The Road Glide was released in 1998, borrowing the fairing style of the Tour Glide. The Road Glide fairing was updated during Project Rushmore, a concentrated effort by Harley-Davidson in 2014 to listen to their customers and apply changes to the touring bikes. There was no 2014 Road Glide because numerous hours were spent in a wind tunnel perfecting the shark nose fairing. The 2015 Road Glide was released with a new fairing, and it included Daymaker LED headlights to light up the night, especially when making turns in the dark. This fairing has 3 vents for allowing more air in the summer. Close them all and the ride gets quieter and warmer. You'll notice quickly, though, that the fairing does not turn with the handlebars. That's the major difference, and it takes some getting used to for some people. Also, the fairing is positioned further away. This may give the feeling of openness and a lighter front end. It also feels like you are more laid back in the seating position. The downside is that more atmosphere and elements can get to you also, but if you dress for the weather, you might not care. The instruments are scattered a bit in this fairing, with the 2 most important ones, the speedometer and tachometer, mounted lower than the Street Glide, right on the handlebars. The GPS might be a little farther to reach for, but usually not much problem for most people. The Road Glide fairing has something the Street Glide can't offer, though. It has not 1, but 2 storage compartments, with a charging port for your phone in the right compartment. That alone might make up your mind, although Street Glide owners have been getting by somehow. Although the shark nose fairing creates a bubble of still air behind it, your hands are less protected than the Street Glide. Proper gloves make this a non-issue, but it should be noted anyway. Heated grips would be a good first addition during your purchase, and maybe glance through the catalog for some cold weather windshields as well. Buying a Harley-Davidson may be the first step, but the next step is making it your own, and John Elway Harley-Davidson can modify it all the way to a stage 4 with dyno testing and tuning. So, have you decided yet? Which one? The Street Glide or the Road Glide? Street Glide, Road Glide. Whichever you choose, both bikes will have a powerful, iconic engine that inspires you to keep riding more miles. Both have low, comfortable seats and storage for long trips. Both have 6-gallon gas tanks for those long trips also. And to get technical, both have cornering traction and slip control, HD Connect vital monitoring, and new Prodigy wheels with optional electronic reflex defense rider systems for finely tuned stopping and cornering. Just whatever you do, make sure you buy it at John Elway Harley-Davidson, where the prices are transparent and most other fees non-existent. Take your bike there for service too, and you and your Harley-Davidson will enjoy a long relationship together.